Welcome back to Jeeping for Beginners, folks. Once again, my name is Josh, and on this channel, we talk about the items that you can use as beginners, beginning Jeeping, beginning off-roading, and basically for first-time owners and questions that they need to answer. That being said, about a year ago, I did a video on the Baofeng G11s radio. Originally, when I did this video, it was sponsored by Baofeng. They contacted me, sent me a pair of free radios that was brand new in their arsenal at the time, and asked me to do a review. They gave me a time limit. They gave me the material that they wanted to be suggested to be said in the video, and I graciously did it because, one, I got a free set of radios out of it, and two, because I use the GMRS radios all the time when I'm off-road. If you want to see that video before we get too deep into this one, I'm going to put a link right up here so this way you can get over to that one. However, I wanted to do a follow-up video because now it's been about a year. I've had plenty of opportunity to play with these radios, and it's raised a ton of questions, mild arguments, and debates when it comes to you guys as the viewers as to some of the information that I said in the original video. So stick around. We're going to answer some questions. We're going to clarify some things, and I'm going to tell you what I really think about the Baofeng G11s. All right, guys, once again, welcome back to Jeeping for Beginners, and thank you so much for tuning in and for the support. I know we had set a goal earlier this year of hitting 2,500 subscribers, and guys, we are almost there. This is awesome, and I absolutely appreciate that people are enjoying the content and appreciating what it is that I have to say. However, today we are going to go back to the subject of the Baofeng G11s radio. There were two major hot topics that I said in the first video that a lot of people have had some arguments about and some debates. I have gotten a ton of emails, which for those of you who want to email me, it's yasmarproductions@gmail.com. So that's yasmarproductions@gmail.com. But anyways, gotten a ton of emails about two things. One, its range, and two, it's the actual legalities behind the use. So first, we're going to talk about the range. In the first video, I talked about it had about a 3.5 mile range. This is the information that was given to me from Baofeng, saying that it can reach about 3.5 miles without the help of repeater towers. Now, the repeater towers are on the GMRS network, but we're going to get there in just a second. So I wanted to show you, I have had about a year to play with this, and we have had multiple times where our group has either gotten split up or gone separate directions. My wife and I use them to communicate when we're traveling back and forth from work because we're on opposite sides of the city. So I want to show you, if you can look behind me here, off into the distance, there is what I can see is a radio tower with a flashing light on there. You can see from the video that that is quite the distance away. I'm going to zoom in real quick so that you can actually see how far away that is. When we measured it on Google Maps just a few minutes ago, from here, standing here holding this radio, to all the way over there is roughly about 5 miles. Now, the biggest thing about radios like this is line of sight. Now, I said 3.5 miles. We have actually gone much further than that. I have a buddy who is sitting down there in his Jeep waiting for me to get through this section of the video and ask him if he can hear me clearly. So hang on. You ready? Hey, Joe, can you hear me clearly?
10-4, hear you loud and clear.
So, as you can see, about 5 miles and they still work. The range is based on line of sight. Now, with the mountains around you, you can see there's mountains behind me. That is going to block your signal, and that is definitely going to shorten the range. Thank you, Joe. No worries. I got it from here.
Copy.
So, range, yes, it really can go 3.5 miles or further, as a matter of fact, because we have done further than that. Actually, I think the longest distance we've gotten before it actually started breaking up with direct line of sight was close to about 7 miles. Without the use of the repeater towers, they're actually quite powerful all by themselves. Now, I want to talk about legalities. In the original video, I had mentioned that on the family radio stations, you do not need a GMRS license in order to operate these videos. Yet, if you are accessing a GMRS repeater tower or looking for the longer distance, that you will need a GMRS license. This has been a huge topic for debate. So let me clarify the actual difference between this radio and the other radios that are out there. The Baofeng G11s radio out of the box is pre-programmed. Now, if you want to use a radio such as this one, which is the Baofeng UV5, these ones need to be programmed out of the box, which means they need to be hooked up to a computer. They need to download the channels, the repeaters, and the tones that are in your geographical area in order to communicate properly. However, the G11S is pre-programmed out of the box, meaning that all the privacy tones, the repeater access tones, and the channels are already set. That being said, these basically out of the box work like handheld two-way radios. The same kind of radios that you can purchase at Walmart, Best Buy, so on and so forth. They come as a set, a pair of two, and they can only communicate with themselves. No matter how long of a range you try to grab or how close you are to another radio, the other radios, such as the UV5, will not pick up any of the transmissions out of these radios. They are programmed to talk solely to themselves. That is done with privacy tones. Now, because of that programming, if you were to purchase these straight out of the box using them on a family adventure, you and your wife are going for a hike, or you want to keep track of the kids when they're wandering away at a football game, you do not need a license in order to operate these radios in that form. Those are the two-way radio option. So just a little clarification on what it was that Baofeng tried to explain to me and what I was trying to explain in the very first video about not needing a license in order to operate these radios. However, tuning in to the standard GMRS stations that are local to your area and using the tone to get onto the repeaters, yes, you will need a license per the FCC in order to use these radios over the GMRS tower network. Or if you remove the privacy tones in the programming of the radio in order to be able to talk to this radio or to the Midlands or to the Yasus, then yes, you are now wideband operating on a GMRS network and will need a license. All right, guys. So now let's talk about my personal opinion and my experience in using these radios. I have actually found them to be a little clumsy and a little bit difficult to use when it comes to large groups in the off-roading community, mainly because of the privacy tones and the settings that are in there. It is difficult to be able to pair all the radios together on the same privacy tones so that this way they can communicate. Over the course of the last year, I have actually gone through the settings on this phone and I have turned all the privacy tones off so that it is open band and open network to access those frequencies. Has made it a little bit easier, but you don't always want to use the GMRS frequencies when you're off-road. In fact, we tend to use more of the frequencies down around the 146 mark, which is where the UV5 comes in real handy because this has a broad range of programmable stations, as well as like the Yasu dash mounted one I have in the Jeep also has a wide range of channels. By tuning into those lower frequencies, where it's a little bit more private for our off-road group, the Baofeng G11s simply cannot do it. It is not programmed to run on that band. That's the biggest con I found on the radio. But here's the biggest pro. They're lightweight. The batteries literally last for days, no matter how hard we use these things. And you can get FM radio on it. So when we go camping as a family, or we go out into the desert and it's just my wife and my kids and it's just our two Jeeps, we actually love these radios because they keep us connected with each other. They're easy to walk around with if we're exploring mines, exploring caves, or just hiking up a mountain. We don't necessarily need the high power radios because we're not that far apart from each other. So that is definitely a benefit. They come as a pair and they're great for a family. All right, folks, so please remember, the Baofeng G11s radio is a beginner radio. It's basically a pair of two-way radios with a little bit more features than the ones that you can purchase at Walmart or Best Buy. These radios will allow you to explore the world of GMRS if it is where you want to take your off-road communication to, and they're also lightweight and easy to use. However, in my personal recommendation, if you are going to get a radio to use off-road, I am actually not going to recommend the Baofeng G11s. I will recommend the UV5. It has a lot more features, a lot more abilities, about the same range, and you can get down to the lower frequencies. So either way, folks, I hope that that clears up some of the questions that some of you have had, some of the debates and the arguments that we have had in there. They really do have the range that Baofeng says that they do, and unless you are wideband, without the privacy tones, using the repeater towers, no, you do not need a license in order to operate them. You can keep them just paired to each other and use as a family. And that's what makes this radio unique. All right, folks, so once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that answers some questions for you, and you can benefit from my experience for the last year being able to use multiple different versions of this radio. So anyways, this is once again Jeeping for Beginners. My name is Josh. If you have any questions whatsoever, or still not clear on the topics that we've covered, feel free to put them down in the comments below. In the meantime, safe Jeeping, and we will see you next time.